It is a delight to be with you on the Brattlecast. One of my favorite assignments is to meet up with my good friend Ken Gloss, the proprietor of the famous Brattle bookshop in Boston. I'm Jordan Rich, and we talk about, well, anything related to books, old, new, rare, out of print, and so forth. And, you know, every once in a while, the subject of libraries comes up, and we're going to take a bit of a side street angle on this because you just returned, and this will all make sense in a second, folks. You just returned from visiting your lovely family, including grandchildren, in Nairobi, Kenya. And there's a library story that there's been a movie about it. So let's dig in. What happened?
Well, first of all, my daughter has been living in Kenya for the last 15 years. So a trip to Kenya is an every year thing for us. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that people don't realize about Kenya, safaris, if you haven't done it, absolutely, it's spectacular. But Kenya also has the most beautiful beaches that you can go to. So it's a wonderful trip. I encourage it. But our real draw there is our grandchildren are 1 and almost 4. Our daughter and her husband's from Kenya. So we go once a year, and we love it. It's a long way, but it's fun. There's not many places where you can go out in the backyard and the bananas ripe on the banana tree, or the mangoes are out ripening, and it's real frustrating because the monkeys get to them first. And what we didn't realize, I mean, I'm going a little aside, but I'll get to the point, is what the monkeys do is they bite the mangoes and then throw them on the ground. Turns out they ripen quicker that way. So it's not that they're taking one bite and get it, but you learn. And don't leave your cell phone outside on the table, because if it's shiny, no person will steal it. But if the monkeys get it, you'll never get it back. Anyways, I encourage it. It's a wonderful country, wonderful people. But this time when we came there, we wanted to do some shopping in the downtown, and we were with a guide, and our daughter was with us, and she said, there's a documentary coming out called How to Build a Library. And she says what it's about is there's an old colonial library in downtown Kenya that sort of fell into disrepair, and these 2 women for the past, I think, 10 or 15 years have been trying to restore it, to rebuild it. And the movie was coming out the day after we left in Kenya. So I haven't seen the movie yet. We're waiting for it to get onto Netflix or so on. It was in the Sundance Film Festival and got good reviews. But I said, well, look, if we go there and we have a feel for it, when we see the movie, it will be all that more interesting. So we went to the library, beautiful old colonial building, and it has sort of a mixed past. It's called the Macmillan Library, who was a family that lived in Kenya, but were British American, and they wanted a library in Kenya. Now, I love libraries. I love libraries that can be public libraries, which this was, that can be used by everybody. My father first got interested in books when he was 5 and 6 years old, going to the East Boston branch of the Boston Public Library. And they had readings for kids, which almost every library still has. And that's what sparked his interest in books. And I love speaking at libraries. I love encouraging people to go. My grandchildren who live in this area, one of the best trips they love, next to going to the Brattle bookshop, is going to a library. Library, they can borrow the books. Brattle bookshop, they get the books. But so we figured, okay, why don't we go there and just see what it is? Beautiful colonial building. You walk in, there are tusks. There are elephant tusks, which, I mean, this library opened in 1931. So again, you're talking colonial. One of the things, though, that was Macmillan, the way they got it built is one of the biggest benefactors of it was Carnegie, one of the Carnegie libraries. Andrew Carnegie made a fortune. Now, what you thought of Carnegie and the steel mills and how he treated his workers and the Gilt Age and all of that is one thing, or post Gilt Age. But he didn't feel that you should give all your money to your kids, but you should give back. And what he did is he built small library. Well, he built libraries, not small libraries, in small towns all over the United States, because he very much felt every town should have a library. They should have free access to the books and education. And there was a whole thing. You can go on Wikipedia and find the Carnegie libraries, and there's whole stories. But this family was a friend of his, so they decided to build a library in Kenya. Now, one of the downsides of this, it was very much built for the white colonial people in Kenya. It wasn't even open to the local population. It was this, when you walk into it, it is this gorgeous building with beautiful marble. Now, when you look at it now, you can look up at the roof and see where it's all leaked. You can see where the cracks in the walls are. You can see where the tiles came up. But it wasn't open to all Kenyans until the 1950s. And it also started falling into disrepair. But you're looking at this building, and I guess what happened was there were two women about a decade ago, who decided that they wanted to restore this building. They wanted to restore the library for the people of Kenya. I guess the library, we didn't see the whole collections, have about 400,000 books. They have huge archives of newspapers from the 1900s up. They have all the parliamentary records. So they're a huge archive for Kenyan history. And this movie, from what I'm hearing, tells about they didn't know anything about restoration of buildings. They didn't know much about libraries. They didn't know much about contracting and the like, but they knew they wanted to restore the library. And I guess through outright work and detail, they've started. They have to raise billions of dollars. And I guess one of the hardest parts is they have to deal with the politicians and the red tape, and which, you say, well, it's Kenya, but you also, if you try to restore a library in the United States,
Exactly.
probably one of the hardest parts would be the restorations.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to go see this library. We knew we weren't going to get the movie, but we looked out the door at downtown Nairobi, beautiful leaves and trees, balconies, but you could see the amount of work that needed to be done. You could imagine being in this library in its heyday. Now, one of the things that I couldn't help but do is they have metal shelves. So obviously, they must have had fancier wooden ones at time. They had metal shelves, and I started looking at the books, and that's something I can't help but do.
Of course,
and give me,
of course.
and quite honestly, the books on the shelves, that they needed. Not only did they need to restore the building, they need to restore the books to something that was going to be used nowadays. The condition on the books looked like some of the leaks and all that had gotten into them, but it was a library. It was open. It was free to the people. And one of the things that really impressed us was that there actually were a lot of students in there and a lot of people. And although I think the books they have and the building still needs a lot of work and should get redone, it's a wonderful, quiet place that has Wi-Fi, that has tables and desks. And we just saw loads of people there just working, studying, reading. I don't think they were necessarily using the library material for that, but there was a quiet place where they could get free access to the internet. And it was actively being very much used. Now, the other thing that I really, really loved about this was we were there we were there a month, so it's September. But one of the things that we found out, because we saw 2 or 3 photo shoots going on. I mean, students in graduation dress. Uh, some of them must have been high school, some of them must have been college, but we saw three different photo shoots. I guess that scene, the people when they graduate want to get really nice photos, and this library has become the place to take the photos as the place of learning, the place that's open to the people, the place that's shows that you're a Kenyan in looking to the future. And so we thought three different people with obviously private photo shoots. We stayed out of them, but I watched them doing it. And it just sort of was wonderful. I mean, you could see what needed to be done.
By the
But
way, you mentioned the film, the documentary. Its premiere was last January, this past January at Sundance. I'm looking up to see where it is now, but I'm sure people can find it if they go to sundance.org and check that out, because documentaries are fabulous. They're so well produced these days. And it's a very inspiring story. And I love the fact that people use it as
yeah,
they should use them here.
well, and like I say, the what the books are needs to be updated and redone. But I think the library still needs a lot of work. But uh, they we one of the reasons my daughter really wanted to take us there was it was premiering in Kenya. Of course, the day we were leaving, we were on the plane when she was back in Kenya watching, and she said, you know, she said it was a very, very interesting documentary. Now, when my daughter, up until this gets into politics a little, up until a few months ago, she worked for USAID and was let go because USAID was done in. But she was very familiar with working with people in the Kenyan government and so on. And she said she particularly was impressed by how much these people, through just sheer persistence, was able to work through a lot of the roadblocks, working with the government, getting the right people to see. And I've been looking for it. I'm waiting for it to show up on Netflix. That's what I'm looking for. My daughter said it was worth seeing. And like I say, now my wife and I, not only will we look at it as something, but we can say, oh, yeah, we went upstairs there. We went over into this room. Let's see what they're doing. Let's see who these people were. When you have a connection to a movie, even if it's a movie that's shot somewhere where and you go, oh, yeah, I walked by that. But from what I'm hearing, it's a wonderful project. It will be great if they keep moving forward with it. Like I said at the beginning, I love libraries, and I'm hoping next year when we go back, or the year after, we even see a more productive and used library. Although it was crowded, but I would love to see what's there being used more.
Was crowded. That's a good sign. And the documentary, if you can find it and look for it, and I'm sure if people demand it, it'll be on a streaming platform somewhere, How to Build a Library. You certainly build relations across the globe with the work you do, and I'm sure you touched a lot of people when you were there, and they touched your hearts as well. Thank you so much, Ken, as always.
Well, thank you, and go to Kenya. It's a great place to go.
Just don't leave your cell phone at the table. The monkeys will take it.
Don't leave your cell phone, right.